So let's hear another round of applause for Nako. Thank you. Aaron, I love how you keep finding us these amazing people to bless us with their voices. Yes. Thank you. So this month we've been exploring the imagination. So we had some fun with it last week. I want to have a little more fun with it again this week. The imagination is one of the 12 powers that Charles Fillmore wrote about. And the truth is we have all the powers within us, faith, understanding, zeal, and it isn't that we're lacking in any of them, it's just that sometimes we may not use them. So I've been talking the last couple of weeks about the difference between the imagination and the imaginal realm. The imagination is what we use to get to the imaginal realm, but the imaginal realm is this in-between place, and it's sort of like the place before, after thought and before manifestation. And we went there last week. How many of you were here last week when we traveled into the future, right? We took the train and we traveled 100 or 200 years into the future. And I was amazed by some of the stories that I heard come out of this community. And I want to thank you for participating in that and for joining your vision, because what I noticed was what I heard is it felt real. I've been talking about how peace on earth and everything is also vague. We don't have specifics. And one of the things that we can do in the imaginal realm is we can start to feel the specifics of the future that we wish to manifest in this world. So there's a difference between the imagination and fantasy versus entering into the imaginal realm. Now, granted, we can take the fantasy and imagination too far and end up in La La Land, right? Where we're not dealing with reality at all. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using it as a spiritual practice, right? Using it as one of our powers. So Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, called the imagination the scissors of the mind. He said it's what gives shape, form, thought, and weight to our thoughts, and the more that we can engage in that, the more we can direct the energy of our thoughts. But if we don't use the imagination, then it's not that we totally lose it, but it kind of becomes lazy, right? Suzanne Murray said that our imaginations are like muscles. If they haven't been used, they atrophy, and we need to strengthen them to allow optimum access. As we start to exercise our imaginations, we actually form new neural connections in our brain. So when you were a child, no one had to tell you how to use your imagination, right? I mean, you were off and running. I remember when my kids were little, they created all these different worlds that they were in. And it was such a joy to watch them. Caroline would get up in the morning on a rainy day when it was before school, and she would put on her wellies and a hat, and she would pack a backpack, and then she would even sometimes pack a lunch. And then she would just sort of walk around the house all day, up and down the stairs, and she and Jordan would be in the different rooms, and they'd go off, and it would just go on for hours and hours and hours. And it was just such a joy to watch them engage in that experience. Imaginative play helps the brain develop in children. But as we grow older, we get more rooted in reality, don't we, about the three dimensions in which we live. And we lose the ability to use our imaginations to their full potential. So without them, without the full use of our imaginations, we lose the power to be creative and find solutions to our problems. So again, let's think about the imagination and imagine that it is a muscle, and that the more we use it, the more we can enter into the imaginal realm. So it's then that you can imagine a healed body, a relationship that works, a life lived to your full potential. And if you are in circumstances that you don't like right now, then it's your imagination that can assist you in coming up with another path. I need to get some water. So last week at the picnic, I was talking to many people about the exercise that we did last week. And Kathleen, I'm not going to tell your story exactly because I don't remember it. And I was talking also to Jay about how they, you're all true students, and you've all been practicing this stuff for years. I know I didn't introduce you to something new. But Kathleen was saying how there are moments in her life where things just fall together, like things that she's been thinking about and planning, like finding a home, and then just finding it without having to do all the normal searches that we do, but just by meeting the right people. And that's kind of what happens is when we're doing that inner work, right? We believe as within, so without. As we're doing that inner work, things seem to simply line up. And we can also misuse the imagination, can't we? So how many of you have used your imagination, I don't know, maybe once or twice to create a future that you don't want, right? Yeah, it's called worry, right? It's called praying for what you don't want. It's called praying negatively. Jesus said it this way in the book of Matthew. He said, can any of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? So don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring worries of its own. Today's trouble is enough for today. So don't go borrowing trouble. Don't be creating scenarios and all these things, because the truth is, the imagination is powerful. And what are we drawing in? What are we calling in? What are we praying for when we're using our imaginations in that way? So if worrying is praying negatively, then positively directing the imagination, again, is a form of affirmative prayer. And Jean Houston, who is, really into this whole imaginal realm thing, and I got to spend 10 days or something with her at the beginning of this year, said that there are 4 levels to the imaginal realm that we enter with the imagination. And the first is the physical and the sensory. So what I'd like for us to do, and I have an assistant Patrick's going to come and help me with this, because I think it works better with a male and female voice. We're going to exercise our imaginations in the physical and sensory realm. So we're going to be the taste, touch, smell, hear, see, all of that, right? Okay, so I need you to close your eyes. As within, so without. Okay. Just take a deep breath. Chew an apple in your mind and feel the juice bursting between your teeth.
Have a salad of wild greens that bite back, chastened by a little bit of almond oil and a touch of lemon.
Taste cold chocolate ice cream on a hot day like today.
Bite into licorice and notice how it may stick to your teeth.
Sip a cup of hot grated ginger tea with lemon and turmeric.
Bite into corn on the cob with butter and salt.
And now touch. Feel the long, bony nose of a horse.
Plunge both hands into a bowl of potato chips and break up as many as you can.
Climb a tree and feel the rough, warm bark.
Touch the smooth cheeks of a baby.
pet a dog with wiry hair.
Put your hands in a bowl of ice cubes.
Inner smell. Smell a rose garden.
Smell gasoline as you fill up your car.
Smell an Italian restaurant.
Smell the chlorine in a swimming pool.
Smell the air after a hard rain.
Smell the forest on a cloudy day.
Inner sight. See the sun setting over the ocean.
See a unicorn with a bright white mane.
See a pot of soup boiling on the stove.
See a beloved friend's face.
See a group of medieval nuns in great wimples walking 2 by 2 through an herb garden.
See the home where you grew up or spent most of your time.
Inner hearing. Hear the pounding of the waves on the beach.
Hear the tapping of high heels on the floor.
Hear the birds waking at dawn.
Hear your mother's voice.
Hear the sounds of traffic in the distance.
Hear the laugh of little children.
And when you're ready, come on back. So could you see, taste, smell, hear some of these things? So what we're doing is expanding the mind. We're creating new neural pathways in the brain. And the more we play with these kinds of exercises, again, the easier it becomes to enter into that imaginal realm. So I encourage you to just kind of play with those kinds of things. So the other levels of the imaginal realm are the physiological level, and that is when we can change our identity. Because sometimes we get so stuck in who we are and what our role is that we believe that we end here. And part of playing in the physiological level of the imaginal realm is the ability to become other people, to pretend to be something or someone else, maybe a more elevated version of ourselves. Another level of the imaginal realm is the mythic and symbolic self. So instead of looking at our lives and going, oh my God, the problems that I have and the things that I have to do, what if you were living like this great mythical life and there was this great adventure that you were on, and the problems that are being put in front of you for whatever reason are like obstacles to get you to the great prize. And so that can lift us out of this ordinary life in which we live, and we can look at it from a different perspective, and perhaps there are angels and there are guides that show up to help us along this path. And then the last level is that of the spiritual, and that is to just recognize that we are souls, that we are spiritual beings, and that there is a higher purpose to our lives, and that we're allowed to, that we can connect, right? We can connect with that pattern and that blueprint that is the perfection of who we are. So we've kind of done a little sense thing, but I'd like to make it a little more specific for us in our lives. And this is to use this imagination and affirmative prayer. So I'm going to invite you to imagine the reality that you wish to manifest. And it could be something of your own, for your own enhancement. So think about, if you would, in your life, what is it that you want to make better, to enhance? It could be your physical body, it could be your finances, it could be your relationship, perhaps it's a project you're working on. And so I'd like you to pick something, and when you have it, if you would just touch your chest so that I know that you've picked something that you would like to focus on for the next couple of minutes. Your body, relationship, finances, a project, and you can just let that go. And if you would just turn your attention within. So what does this intention that you have, what does it feel like? Imagine it's manifested, totally, 100% manifested. What does it feel like? What do you feel like? What does this intention look like for you? Using inner sight, what does it sound like? And we're going to stretch it a little further. What does it smell like? What do finances smell like? And even a bit more of a stretch, what does it taste like? So in keeping the same intention, I invite you to travel to the place of possibilities where you can choose the patterns of your life and feel the living force of this reality. Again, take it on. That means being in and or seeing the new body, the new project, the finances, whatever it may be in your life, your relationship. Claim it. You're in the imaginal realm. And know that the universe, that God hears you and is drawing to you now coincidences, resources, appropriate people, ideas, and opportunities to help in the realization of your new life story. So I invite you to keep your eyes open as opportunities come your way and begin to fit into the new story that you have set into motion. And when you meet people, when you notice things, greet it with gratitude and thank you, and thank you, and thank you, as the universe steps up to greet you. And when you're ready, come back. So last week we shared, we don't have the time to do that, but I would invite you to do that with someone to just kind of bring it in and anchor it a little. So know that the imagination is a necessary and powerful part of the transformative journey. It is like a muscle, and if it's not used, it can atrophy. And it is the misuse of the imagination to worry and to create futures that we don't want. None of us can add an hour to our life by worrying. In fact, we're probably doing the opposite, right? So when you were a child, no one had to tell you how to use your imagination. So I'm going to invite you to have fun with it. We don't have to be so serious about the imagination. Imagine all kinds of things, for it is through the use of this imagination that we again enter the imaginal realm. The world is waiting for you to live your potential. May it be so. Thank you.